So, so I'm gonna start first one. Okay. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, the goal of this project is to build a relational database backend that can support all of the actions that we specified here: writing, reading, commenting, all of that stuff. Okay. So yeah, that is it literally. So I'm just going to start building it. I'm just going to show you how to write codes to create tables and all of that stuff literally. Okay. That is it. That is literally what I'm going to be showing you. So it is really, really sad that a lot of persons joined this class and this was their first time of hearing SQL or actually having a proper introduction to SQL. Okay, very, very sad. I'm really, really sorry about that. If I had known earlier that we had a large number or a large percentage of persons who this was like their first time, maybe our first class shouldn't have been on the project. Our first class would have been on like designing, just doing introduction to SQL in depth, and then probably in the subsequent class. How am I even saying this thing as if people are paying me? I beg you, join project, Joe. Whoa, let's go.
For
People won't
mankind.
deceive me. They won't deceive
For
me, oh.
mankind.
Like, see, as I just dey arrange am for them as if they pay me money. God, I
For
beg, deliver
mankind.
me from any juju where they don't wear me, please. Remove it. Ah, ah, ah. I almost fell. Ah,
I beg, prof. Oh.
ah.
Make some people don't make you fly for night. Oh. Continue.
All right. I don't even know where to start building this thing from. Okay. So now, okay, I'm gonna be explaining as I'm building. Eh? Now, you see, in SQL, you see all of these things that I'm writing like this, these things are called comments, okay? These things are called comments. You see, they are in green, okay? If you want to make a comment in SQL Server or SQL, just put a double dash like this, two dash like this. If it turns green, that line turns green, you're making a comment, okay? So just take note of that. That is not a code. SQL will not, the system will not consider it a code. It considers it a comment, so it is not executable. If that is the correct English. Yes, that's the correct English. It is not executable. Now, let's proceed. So, now, as a standard practice, because I want to train professionals and people who are prepared to take on real world activities and tasks, the first thing I want to tell you is before you write that line of code, always make sure you put down a comment on what the code is intended for. Or better still, state your thought process. You understand? Okay? It is professional, it is good practice. It helps you to remember the intention of that code in case you forgot, because we don't keep all of these things in our head. So you could come back later on and it's all gone. So it helps you to like keep it together. You get, so comments are very, very good. Good. So now the first thing we want to do is we want to create a new database named um, let me call it uh, let me call it essay
Uju
blog.
class.
Let me call it essay blog. You understand? So it's for the blog, okay? Let me call it essay blog database. Okay, so I want to create this blog, this new database called SA blog. Now, to create a database in SQL, I told you that SQL is uh, good, good. Okay, okay. I think I remember something. I remember that I have a YouTube video on my channel that talks about introduction to SQL. Okay, so I think you guys could like go there and watch the stuff. You get, but I'll just continue. I was thinking maybe I should just do basic introduction, but since I already have it on the YouTube channel, you could just watch it. Then maybe before you come back to this class, sure you understand. I think it's
Your,
literally the same thing.
your, Prof, can you drop your YouTube handle?
Splendor Analytics. Just check Splendor Analytics. You get. So yeah, now we'll create a new database named SA blog database. Okay. So now you see in SQL, when you want to create a database, now, oh God, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Loud and clear.
Okay. All right. So, no. I don't think we can create. I don't think we can create. All right, let's create that. Let's create a database. But before we create that, I want you to understand something there. SQL is divided. I just want you to know this. SQL is divided into 4 major sub-languages. Okay? The first one is the one we call data definition language. Okay? DDL. The second one is what we call data manipulation language. All of these things I'm teaching from my head. The third one is transaction control language, transaction control. Sorry. Then the fourth one is data control language. So this fourth subset carries all of the commands in SQL. So each of these subsets, each of these sub-languages contains all of the commands that make up SQL. Okay. Now, you see the first one that is called data definition language. The acronym is DDL. Okay. Data definition language. Now, this subset of SQL is the subset of SQL that is used to define, the structure of databases and database objects. Okay. Now, you see, everything in SQL is an object. Okay. And everything inside of a database is an object. Okay. So the commands that are inside of this data definition language, these commands are used to define the structure of databases and the database objects. Okay. Now, you may not know what database objects are, but a table is an example of a database object. A constraint, I'm going to explain that later, is a database object. A view is a database object. A stored procedure is a database object. A trigger is a database object. You see all of these in details, maybe in subsequent class, or if you can, you could research about it. Yeah. And functions, yes, user-defined functions and all of that stuff. These things are database objects, okay? So this DDL, the command in this DDL is used to define these things, okay? Now, what are the commands that are inside of this DDL? We have 3 major commands. We have the create command, we have the alter command, and then we have the drop command, okay? We'll look at the first one, the create command, okay? Now, you see, the create command is used to create databases. It is used to create databases and database objects. You understand? It is used to create, remember, this create command comes from this data definition language command. And we say that data definition language commands are used to define the structure of databases and database objects. So one of the commands inside of DDL is create. it is used to create. Define. Remember, we are saying define. To create is to define. So one of the commands is create. So it is used to create. So if you want to create a database, you want to create anything in SQL, you use the create command. So let's say, for example, we said that we want to create a new database that is called SA blog. Okay, so I'm going to write a simple command. I'm going to say create database, and then I specify the name of the database. In this case, what is the name of the database? What do I want to name the database?
SA blog.
SA blog.
SA blog, like this. You understand? Let me put an underscore. That brings me to the next thing. You see, in SQL, when you are defining the name of an object, there can be no space. Hey God. In SQL, when you are defining the name of an object, there can be no space in the name of that object. That is why in SQL, we have two major writing patterns, okay? So in SQL, let me write that up here. In SQL, we have two major writing patterns, okay? The first one is what we call the camel case, okay? Camel case is when you write like this. Remember, when you are defining the name of an object, there can be no space. So it's either you write in camel case where the two words, you write them like this, but the two separate words are started with capital letters, or you write in what we call snake case, where you write where you use underscore to separate the two words. Do you see the difference between these? No space between the two words. You see how they are separated? Do we understand? Are we following? So we
Yes, yes,
have
yes.
snake
Yes.
case and camel case, okay? Camel case is when you capitalize each of the word. Snake case is when you separate the two words with an underscore, okay? Good. So what have we used here? Snake case
Snake
or?
case.
Good. You see how I put a semicolon here? You understand? This semicolon is to tell SQL that, hey, I am at the end of my command. The semicolon tells SQL that I am at the end of my command. One of the first things you want to see in a professional of the highest standard is that they have good writing patterns, or they have a good writing practice when writing codes. This is one of the first things they check in interviews that has to do with SQL. You understand? So take note of all these things, okay? Good. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Right. Now, to create the database, all you just need to do is to highlight the code, the query, highlight the query, come to execute here. You see execute here, and you click on execute. Can you see it return a message saying that commands completed successfully? Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Now, to see the database, the new database that you've created, come to these databases on the left-hand side. This is your left-hand side here, okay? Where you have it like this normally, on this left-hand side here. Refresh, right-click on it, and click on refresh. When you click on refresh, open up. You will see a new database called SA blog. For those of you that are following the class, have you done something like that? Did it work?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
It worked.
So yeah, so you've created your first database. You've created your first database. Very easy, very, very straightforward. Good. Now, you see, now every other thing that we would create, needs to be inside of this database that is called SA blog, okay? So we need to set the database as database of use. Okay, so we need to switch to the context of this database. So you see currently here, you see up here, the database that is set here is called master. You understand? When you click on this drop-down link, anytime you want to work on a particular database in SQL, if you have multiple databases, always make sure, always, the first thing you should check before you write any code in SQL, always make sure that it is set to the database you want to work with, okay? So if you have multiple databases, come down and select the particular one, okay? So you see for my case, it is SA blog, okay? I click on it. Now it is the database in use, or it is the database in context. But if you don't want to click on this, let's say, for example, it is still at Aurora. If you want to write a simple code that switches the context to this particular database, you could write a simple code that say use, then you specify the name of the database. What is the name of the database? SA blog, like this, okay? When you run the code, watch what is going to happen up here. When I run this code, watch what is going to happen here. If I click on execute, can you see it changed automatically? Did you see that? Did you see that? Perfecto. All right. So let's take it one step further. Now we have created the database and we have set the database to use. So every other thing, anything we are creating now is going to be falling inside this SA block. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to do is to create a table. Okay. Now, the first table I want to create, I'm going to call it role. Okay. That's going to be my table. Okay. This table is going to be called the role table. Okay. That is, this table is going to tell me, this table is going to define the different user roles that the people that are using these platforms. Okay. Remember up here, I told you that these are going to be my users. I have the authors, I have the readers, and then I have the admin. True or false? I have authors, I have readers, and then I have my admins, okay? So that is the first thing I want to create. That's the first table I want to create, okay? Remember, in a relational database, data is stored in table, okay? So the data about the rows will be stored inside of the row table. Yes, Benita?
Good evening, sir. Please, how did you create this row table? I didn't see the way you did it.
Oh, yes. So do you know what to do? If you just do like this, okay, see the same thing I did. Let me do it now. You do it like this, eh? You see, I just press dash, 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 eh? Are you seeing what I did? Then I press 2 dash, and then I put equal to like this. Eh? Are you seeing it? And then
Yeah.
I put a pipe. I put a pipe like this, and then I say Benita, Don Colo, like this, eh?
Yeah.
And then I put another equal to like this. And then, you know, see now. Do you get it now?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna create the row table, yeah? Good. So now, to create a table in SQL, like I told you, SQL is English language. All you just gotta do is to say, create table, then you specify the name of the table. What is the name of the table that we want to create?
Role.
Role. Yes? Good. And then we would open up a bracket. Now, you see this role is in blue. That is because there's something else in SQL in the database system that has a function or maybe an object already that has this name, okay? Maybe so, but to avoid that, we could just put this in square bracket like this, or you could leave it like that, okay? Nothing. It does nothing actually. But if you don't want to show in blue like that to confuse you because something else already has that name, you could put it in bracket, okay? So but I think I would just remove my bracket, but it's gonna be blue. Don't confuse it. It's not a function. It is the name of my table. Don't confuse it, okay? Good. Now, you remember when we talked about the table, I told you that A table is a two-dimensional structure that is made up of rows and columns. You know what a table is? Of course, you know what a table is. This is literally what a table is. Columns and rows, okay? So, but we need to create, inside of every table, you need to define the columns, because the columns is what is going to hold the properties of the data. You understand? So we'll put all of the columns and all of that stuff. You get? So that's why we've opened up a bracket here. We open up a bracket to put in all of the columns that's going to be contained inside, okay? So the first column that is always created in the table is what? One of the keys. We've talked about it before.
Primary key.
Primary key.
Primary key.
Primary key. Perfect, okay? So I just press tab on my keyboard. If you press tab on your keyboard, your cursor is going to come here. So me, I'm kind of like a perfectionist when it comes to writing code, yeah? So just take that from me. I like my codes to be neat and very, very structured. You may not, SQL is not positionally sensitive. SQL is not case sensitive. You could write anything anyhow you want, but I like my code to be readable, legible, and understandable. You get, so I have to structure it. But I just press tab on my keyboard. It brings up this space, okay? So the first column I'm going to have, I'm going to call it role ID, okay? Now, there was something I did not teach you guys, or there was something I did not explain to you guys. You see, but I told you when I was explaining what a column is, I told you that every column has a data type. Do you understand? And it is this data type that defines the kind of data that can be stored inside of that column. I'll take that again. Every column has a data type, and it is this data type that defines the type of data that can be stored inside of that column. Now, let me show you something. I'm not going to be able to go into details about it, but I'll just be doing it for you guys, okay? So you see, for this role ID, I want it to have an integer data type. An integer data type is basically int. What is an integer?
Numbers.
Numbers.
With no
Numbers.
decimal points.
Whole
Good.
numbers.
Whole numbers, and whole numbers are numbers that do not have decimal point. You understand? So basically what I'm saying is that I want to create a table called role, and inside of that role table, my first column that I want to create is role ID. And that my role ID, I want that column to only hold integer data type. So this column is going to only hold whole numbers. That is numbers without decimal point. If you don't know what whole numbers are, say for example, 2, 3, minus 1. So far, it does not have a decimal point. It is a whole number. For those of you who know do mathematics, I will teach you SQL, still teach you mathematics. Ah, God, I beg. All right. Let me take you one step further, okay? So now I'm gonna put something on this particular column. All right. Now I'm gonna write this. So identity 100, 100. Now, what is identity? Anybody knows what identity is?
Primary key. ID.
No. Now, you see what I want is my thought process is I want
Identity is the constraint.
So
yeah, more
it
like
shouldn't be more than 100. It shouldn't be
A
more
unique
than
number for
100
identification of a specific entity.
integers.
so.
Exact number.
You see this identity keyword is an
And it's fine.
auto incrementing function. So literally what I want is that since this role ID is an integer, I have set it to identity 100, 100, meaning that starting the first value in this column is going to be 100. That is, the base value is going to be 100. And the incrementing value is going to be 100. Now, literally, let me explain my thought process to you. What I want to do is I want it to be in such a way where we can only have like 100, 200, 300, okay? So 100 would be for, let's say 100 would be user, 200 would be author. Anybody that has the ID of 100 would be user. Anybody that has ID of 200 in the role, in their role ID, 300 would be admin. Now, you see, this is an integer. 100 is an integer, true or false?
True. True.
If you say 100 to increase by 100, what is the next number?
200.
200.
200.
200.
What is the next number after 200?
300.
300.
300.
300, and so on. So this identity keyword here confers the ability for this particular column to automatically increment, whether without me adding any value into this table. So whoever is assigned that particular ID, it automatically assigns it for the person. It automatically increments. So starting by 100 is going to increase to 200, 300, depending on the role of the person. You understand? Now we are still doing more things. Just follow me closely. Follow me closely. Then I would add what is known as a constraint, not null constraint. Okay. Now let me explain constraints before I take you further. Now, like the name says, constraints. You see, constraints in SQL are a set of rules that are used to limit the type of data that can be entered, or that are used to specify rules for data that is inside of a table. You understand? Now, if I say not null, it means that this particular column cannot be null. What is null?
Nothing.
But not
Zero.
Can't be empty.
No, null is not zero. Zero is a value.
The value. Empty
Can't be
cell.
Cannot
empty.
be empty.
Empty.
Can't be
Good.
empty.
It cannot be empty, it cannot be blank, and it cannot be missing. You understand? Not null. So that is a constraint. We've placed a constraint on this column to always and must always have a value. Everybody in this table must have a role ID. You cannot, your own cannot be empty. You must. So not null. Okay? Comma. So this is the first column. First column is done. So the next column that I'm gonna have is gonna be the role name. That's gonna be the name of the role. So the role name, I'll set that to, let me use nvarchar. This is an SQL data type, okay? So I'll set it to nvarchar 20. Now this data type is called nvarchar, which basically means varying character. Varying character. So it means that the values in this role name cannot have more than 20 characters. Do you understand? Okay. It cannot have more than 20 characters. So I will set it to not null. Okay. So like I told you, data types are used to define the type of data that can be stored inside of a column. So this nvarchar is used for text data. Okay. So it can be used for text data, but for that text data, you cannot store more than 20 characters. Okay. So it places a 20 character limit constraint on this particular column. Do you understand? Yes, Doimola.
So between I just want to know the difference between end voucher and just the voucher.
The normal voucher. So M voucher
Yes.
is the general one that applies across every SQL flavor. N voucher belongs to just Microsoft SQL Server. Do you understand?
All right. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you say what? Someone has a question? Okay. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a constraint. Yes. Emmanuel, your question. I can't hear you properly. I can't hear you at all, Emmanuel. Type your question, please. I can't hear you. Yes, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Please, integer identity and end voucher, please, what did you call them again?
Data types.
Data types. Okay. Thank you. And you said constraint, you described, you said constraint in SQL, a set of rules that can limit what again?
There are a set of rules that are used to limit the type of. Give me a sec before you confuse me. So the constraints are used to limit the type of data that can go into a table. You understand?
Okay.
This is just to ensure the accuracy and reliability of the data that is inside of a table. Okay. Now, if there is any violation between the constraint and the data action, the action will be aborted. You understand? Literally, what it means is that if anything is going against these constraints that I put here, that thing will be aborted. Constraints are permanent, solid, not permanent literally, but solid, like very solid. No magu. They are very, very straightforward. Sure you get. Yes, Rachel. Rachel, you have a question? Shoot, please.
Can you do alphanumeric alpha in identity? Primary key.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot.
Why?
Identity must be an integer number. Can only be set to an integer data type. And it does not make sense. Yeah, I get you want to do alphanumeric, but it does not make sense to set your primary key column as alphanumeric.
Okay, thank you.
You cannot. Normally, alphanumerics are gotten when you combine one column and another column, use it to form a data type, you get? But standard practice, standard SQL practice, you use an integer data type, you get? It is more defining, it is more unique because 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3. There can be no 2, 2, no 3, 3. I don't know if you understand the English.
Do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There is no data type for alphanumeric. That's what I was saying. There's no data type for alphanumeric. For you to have alphanumeric, you must combine two columns together to now form one. So you bring a column that has a number, bring a column that has text and or whatever symbols it is, and then you join it together before you have alphanumeric. Okay, good. So now, okay. Now I'm going to set this as the primary key, okay? I'm going to set this as primary key. I'm going to set this column as a primary key. You get, I'm going to set this column as the primary key. So to set it as primary key, you could just come in. Okay, if you are setting it as a primary key, then there's no need to add not null, because the fact that something is a primary key, it automatically means that that thing cannot be null, okay? So the easiest way to set primary key is just to write it like this, primary key, like this, just like this. You get, just like this, you have it as primary key, okay? So every other thing is not necessary. Okay, so this is literally the code that we would use to create that particular table. Okay, so we come down here and we would close this bracket. So I believe I've been able to do some explanations. So you just execute this. As you can see, it says command completed successfully. Okay, so refresh the SA blog. Yeah, you would see the tables section on the SA blog, this left-hand side here. Open the tables, you'll see that we have a new table called row. When you open the table, you'll see columns. When you open the columns, you will find that we have role ID and the role name. Do you understand? Very easy. See how we successfully created one
it's
table.
clear.
Do you understand?
Yes, yes.
Good, 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 good. All right. Okay.
Mine is not executing, or giving me error.
What's the error?
Message 1801 level 16 state 3 line 1 database SA block already exists. Choose a different database name.
You are creating it multiple times now. You are executing the code multiple times. It is not, you don't
Maybe
run,
it didn't
if you
highlight
run it
it.
once,
Comment your database.
if you've run it once, you've run it. Don't execute it 2 times. It's going to give you the error. So execute something else, the new thing you created, not what you've created before. The moment you execute it 1 time, it has stored. So if you are running it again, it will tell you that it already exists. You cannot create it again because it is an object. I told you, it's an object.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's already there.
All right. So let me just be creating the table for now. Okay. So let me show you guys so that your hand will be strong in creating the tables. Okay. Good. Now, okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll create another table. So I want to create another table, and this table is going to be called the user account table. Okay. This table will be called the user account. Okay. So this is what's going to give us the user's account details. Okay. User account table. Okay. Good. So same thing. I'm going to say create table. Sorry, before I do create that table, this role that we created, this row table that we created, if you want to see the table as a table, just write this code. Say select star, which means select everything from, then you specify the name of the table. What's the name of the table?
Row.
Block.
What is the name of the table that we want to select data from?
SA block.
Row.
Role.
The screen has
Table,
frozen. We cannot see the screen. Sorry,
not
please.
database. So execute. Can you see the blank table? See, we just created the skeleton. Yes, Benita.
Okay, sorry. I cannot find my SA blog database on the sideline.
Have you refreshed? Have you right click on databases, refresh?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
But I'm having the
Sorry,
same
not created.
error.
Not
I
If you are
created it now.
seeing your screen, we cannot see anything. It seems the screen has frozen or something. You cannot see the screen again.
Can you guys see my screen? Or is it just him?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we can see your screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
You can work your network now. Stop disturbing me.
No
How
money.
about? All right, so I want to continue. So I've shown you how to select data from the row, okay? Good. So I want to create the user account table, okay? Sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear you now?
All right.
Yes.
Good. So we're going to create the user account. So same thing, we'll open up a bracket, same thing like we did before. So the first column I want to have is going to be the account ID. 18% they do.
transfer.
Need they prepare dinner.
Mute now. Who be this one?
Sorry about that, okay? All right. So I'm creating the account ID. The data type is going to be an integer. And then I'm going to set it to identity 1,1. What does it mean? If I set it to identity 1,1.
It will start with 1 with an
Starts with
increment
1 and increments by 1.
And increment with 1 by 1.
1 and increase by 1.
Good. So I also set it as my primary key column. Okay. Then I will have another column that I will call username. I will set it to nvoucher 50. Okay. Your username cannot be more than 50 characters. This is for the user account. We are creating a table that is going to store the account of the users. You get now people that are going to access, that are going to create an account with the blog. That's SA blog. That's our blog. Okay. Good. And I will set a constraint to not null. Do you know what this not null does? I don't know if you've ever tried maybe registering online on a website before and you did not put your password.
It means when they are trying to input the record into the table, if they did not input anything into the username column, it will not go, like the code will not run successfully. That means there has to be something inside.
Exactly. There has to be something inside there. Good. So it cannot be empty. Do you get? So your password, your username cannot be empty. Every user must have a username. Okay? Good. So that's for that. It cannot be null. Then we would have the email address. So we'll collect the email. Okay? That would be same nvoucher, not null. But let me increase the email to 100. Okay? So it cannot be more than 100 characters. Good. Now, I will show you how to create a foreign key. Now, this, yes, Precious.
I'm assuming, so this is my question. I'm assuming that we are limiting the character to 50 or 100 because of space, or why do we limit characters?
Yes, space. You get, if your database is too allow all of this. Now, okay, you know that amount of space, amount of characters you specify. That means the amount of space the database is going to allocate to that particular thing. Don't know if you understand. So each character, let's say if you put nvoucher 100, it means that it's expecting 100 text characters. Yes. Each of these characters has a size that has been allocated to it by the database. Let's say, for example, 2 bytes. So the total space that this database is going to allocate to the email column for any character that can enter into it is 2 bytes, each character. I don't know if you understand. You get? So that's why if you now do not allocate it very well, necessarily bulky performance issues will arise later on. Are you guys following? All right. So the email column. Now let's create a foreign key. Okay. Remember, we said that the foreign key is used to establish relationship between two tables or two or more tables. Yeah. So you see, we created a column, a table before called role. You see, we created a column called role ID that's a primary key in the role table. You see, we are creating another role ID here. What is this role ID supposed to do for us?
Foreign key.
Show
Foreign
relationship
keys.
with the previous table.
Good. Create relationship. Share you get. So we will set the data type integer and say that this role ID references what table is it referencing? What's the name of the table that we created
The
before
row
that it
table.
is supposed
Row table.
Row table.
role on
Row table.
on what on what column is it referencing it?
Role ID.
Role ID.
On what column in the row table is he referencing?
Role 1.
Role ID.
ID.
Role
Simple and short.
Role.
Simple and short. In English, when we say something should refer or something should reference something, what are we talking about?
To link
What are we
at.
talking about? Good. So I'm saying I'm creating a role ID in the user account table, but this role ID I'm creating here should reference the role table on the role ID. So you see where it is matching. Yeah. Hello? Hello?
Can hear you.
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Sorry, I think like my own network. Rain is falling, so is now wanting to get to me. You get. So, but yeah, if you can see my screen, we've just created a foreign key, literally. Okay, good. And we can set it not null. Okay, we will set it not null. Okay. Oh God, sorry. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Give me a sec.
Hello.
I can hear you.
I can't hear anything. No.
Yes, Brenda has left, or he has muted his mic. So just hold on. Maybe he's trying to fix something before he gets back.
He said we should give him a second before he left.
That screen is kind of lagging sometimes. Like the network is just sometimes you go don write code
Your voice is
go
lagging.
later, you no go see am. Na till when after network don good, person go come later see am. So the network is lagging.
So just more class. You want to give me 1 second. You carry complete free class. Yes,
Your gen off.
oh, my gen off. Sorry about that. All right, can you see now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's do let's create another column called password. Okay. So this is the column that is going to collect the password of the what is it called? The password of the users. And you see, it is not known. Okay. Good. Then we'll create another column, and this column I call it create ads. So you see this create ad, this column is going to tell me the exact time at which the person deleted the account. Okay, so the data type is going to be date time. So it's going to bring the date and time that that particular user created the account. Okay, so I'll set it to not null, and I'll add a constraint. Okay, this constraint is called default. Okay, so I want the default value to be get dates. That's why they're not. Now let me explain what get dates is. Let me show you something. Select get date. You see this function? See this function like this. When I executed this, can you see what it returned? Can you see it? Did you see what it returns?
Yes.
Date. Yes.
You see, it returns today's date, even the time, even to fractional seconds. So you see, this creates at date time. When we set the default to get date, we are saying that by default, this column should automatically, the date for this column should be automatically generated. So this get date will automatically get that exact time. So, you know, the way you create your account, if you create your account now, it is going to give you the time and seconds that you created your account, even the date that you created your account. You get, that is what the get set is going to do for us if we set it by default. I don't know if you guys are comprehending.
Yes,
Let me
clear.
finish this table. Okay. Then the next column is going to be another one. This column is going to be is VIP. Okay. This column is going to check if the user is a VIP, and the data type for this is going to be bit. Bit is just 0 and 1. Okay. Where 0 means no, 1 means yes. Okay. So this column obviously will be not null. And by default, I want a value in this column to 0. Start by default. By default, everybody is not a VIP. You get, it is after they register for VIP, because normally when you create an account, everybody is creating an account normally. It is when the person decides to subscribe to VIP that the thing will now change for them. Okay, so that is why I've set it like this. Then the next column will be, let me put VIP start date. Okay, the date that person VIP status started. So the data type I'm going to use in date time, and it can be null. Okay, it can be empty because it's not everybody that are VIP. So we want to leave it optional. Yeah. You see, everything that happens in those websites like visit, that is what we are replicating here right now. You get the same logic, all of those logic. You get we are replicating it. Now, another column I'm going to create is the VIP end date. Okay, I'm going to create another one. VIP end date. Good. Same thing. No, that is if this VIP end date stores the end date of VIP status, and it can be null. You understand? Then the last column I'm going to create for this, I'm going to call this column is two-factor authentication enabled. You understand? This is also going to be bits 1 and 0, where 1 means yes, this account has two-factor authentication enabled. 0 means no. Okay, so this would be not null, and by default, I want this column to be no. You understand? Because by default, it is always no. You understand? So, and I think that will be the end of my whatever I'm creating for this particular column here. So I just can like this, and then I'll execute. Okay, it says command completed successfully. If I refresh my tables on this left hand side, you see that I think we now have we now have two tables. When you open the user accounts table and check the columns, you see now you see the foreign key and the primary key. You see the two different keys. You see how they are pointing. You see the difference between the primary key and the foreign key. So you see PK here, primary key, FK here, foreign key. You understand? Okay. So that is literally one. That is just us creating two tables. Now let me show you something. Now there's something that is called yes, Vivian. Vivian, you have a question? Okay, Rachel.
Okay, I think I have a problem with the syntax I entered, because for role ID integer referencing role, it's showing the red line and it says no primary or candidate keys in the reference table row that match the referencing column the referencing column listing the foreign key.
I'm not sure. Did you set the role ID in the rows table as a primary key?
Yes, I did. I did that.
If you did, you should now make sure the table names you specified there is correct and everything you've done is correct.
It says
Send your
followed
your screenshot to the chat. Send it to the chat.
Okay, I'll do that.
Tris. I'll be Trish.
Yes, Trace. Good evening, Splendid.
Yes.
Please, I have a question. Like this data type, this bits, I want to understand why we are using default 0. Like, why are we using bits for these columns is VIP and is 2FA enable? Is it like because they will have like a Boolean value true or false? Like, are you using 0 and 1 for 2 and 4?
Yes, now. 0 is yes. Sorry, 0 is no.
Is false.
1 is yes.
Okay.
And same thing, 0 is false, 1 is true.
Okay, thank you.
And so the person that is asking why I'm using two brackets, default has its own bracket. The value has its own bracket. That's why it's two brackets. I'll be two parentheses. Sorry, no verse. Okay. So now let me explain something before we wrap it up today. Okay. Good. Now you see, in SQL, there's something that is called the entity relationship diagram. You get entity relationship diagram. Now, it is the entity relationship diagram that shows the relationship that exists between these tables. For this particular one, tables that we've created, when you, inside of a database, you would see what is called database diagram. Right click on database diagrams, you will see what is called new database diagram. click on that new database down. So it's going to ask you if you wish to create them. Say yes. You understand? Okay. Now it's going to show you the tables that you have there. Just make sure you refresh. Okay. So you see, we have two tables. We've only created two tables in the SA blog database. So you just press add and you press add. We've added the two tables. Then you close this. And we see that it is showing us the relationship that exists between the role table and the user account. Are you seeing it?
Yes, yes.
Now, wait, let me show you. Let me show you with the full database, the one I created, the one I used to practice for the course. Let me open it. Let me right click on this.
Okay, thank
New database down. Can hear you, Sam? Emmanuel, you again. You
yeah.
again.
Should I want you to finish, so
All right. So if you're seeing my screen, see I'm adding all of the tables. You know, I practiced creating this particular database for this course yesterday. That was what I was just working on to perfect it for us. Okay. So when I close it, good. Can you see? Can you see?
Yes,
can you see the diagram?
yeah,
Can you see
we
the
can.
Yes,
diagram?
sir. Yes,
Good.
sir.
You see how these tables, how they are related to each other.
Yes, sir.
That is it. You understand? That is literally how they are related to each other. Okay. Now let me show you something.
Sorry,
Yeah?
sorry, please. I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know how you got to that place, please. I don't know how you got to there, please. Please. I'm using my phone to
Okay.
blog because I'm yet to get home, please. I'm sorry, please. Can you just
No, you go watch out for
thank you.
recording.
Thank you.
Watch out for recording. Oh, God. Oh, shit. These people. Oh. Thank you. Now, now, we've created two tables, yes? Let me show you with the two tables we created now. Since you people are confused with the one I created before. When you open your database, right, on this left-hand side, where it says SA blog, open it. You will see where they say, when you open it the first time, you see database diagram. Yeah? On this database diagram, right click to open. You see the options. You see new database diagram. So it's going to ask you to add table. Just click on that. Click on add. Any table, any amount of table you have, just add to the tables are done. Then you close. Then you find the database diagram. So you see how the tables are related. You understand? Now, there are different types of relationship in SQL. There is one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, and many-to-many relationship. I'll take that again. There is one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, and many-to-many relationship. One-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. What is the relationship between the role table and the user account table? You can tell me, is it one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-many?
One-to-one.
One-to-one.
Wow.
One to
One-to-one.
many.
One to
One to
many.
many.
Why did you say one-to-many?
Because the role ID is unique, while the account, we can have multiple users and we can have only one distinct role ID.
It's a lie. You are not explaining it very well. Yes,
Is it correct? Is it correct?
Okay.
No, it's not correct.
Okay, for now it's just relationship. Assuming we have other tables that are there and it's connected to other tables, linking it to other tables, then we can say it's one-to-many. But for now, it's just user account and row table. It's just connected. The row table is just connected to just the user account. Assuming it's connected to just one table. Sorry, assuming the row table is also connected to another table, that's when we can say it's one-to-many.
Many.
Rachel.
I think it's one-to-many.
Rachel.
Yes.
She answered.
Do you remember when I told you guys that SQL is 50% logic?
Yes.
You are not applying logic as of now. You are not. You got your answer very, very far from logic. Yes, Ikechukwu, you answer first before I do the correction.
Okay, please, can I answer?
Ikechukwu first before any other person.
She wants to answer. Ikechukwu, they eat dinner.
Where did Ikechukwu? I beg, who another person? Who says she wants to answer?
It's one-to-many because it's referring to one person. Like the row ID is referring to both their username, their email. Like it's connecting to more than just one unique identity. It's connecting to more than one just identifier right there.
No, I don't agree. I refuse.
Yeah, my reason for one-to-one is this. Hello, can I go on?
It is one-to-many relationship. Okay.
Yeah, the reason for the one-to-one is because the only row that is relating or common to both table is the row ID. So, and that is the only thing that's common between both. So, as a result, you can say the relationship is one-to-one. So that's my reason.
Wrong.
Can you say it's one to I think that it is one-to-one relationship. And then
wrong.
One-to-many.
The relationship
answer for me.
Can I speak, please?
No, sorry, please, can I talk?
The people shall allow Ikechukwu to speak. Ikechukwu, please speak.
The answer
they waste my time.
It's my network. Now, you know, they use Glow, no verse.
Okay.
So it is a one-to-many relationship. First of all, you have to understand what the primary keys and the foreign keys are. So there are two tables, your user account table and your role table. The primary key in the role table is the role ID, referencing the role ID in the user account table, which is the foreign key there. But there's also a primary key in the user account table, which is the account ID. Now, you can have several accounts or you can have several account IDs, but you can have several account IDs, but then the role, remember that what role are you having? We at the beginning of the class, it was like we're going to have authors, admins, readers, and all of that. Now, your role can be varied, but your account ID just remains one. So that's why it is one-to-many.
Yes, you got the explanation, but you know give in the way where layman go understand, and everybody in this class as of now is layman.
Okay, can I come in?
Yes, come in now. Finish the work.
We're about to go. Stop coming in.
In my own simple way, is that let's say for instance we have one person now wants to register for SQL, Excel, and let's say maybe Tableau or Power BI. So that is one-to-many because the person registered for the different course. The one-to-one is when someone just register for Excel or SQL.
Explain in this context. Explain in the context of this class.
Foreign key and primary key to explain it. Sorry?
No.
Can I
No,
speak?
wait. Logic, ladies and gentlemen. Logic, and logic. You see, this part that we are explaining, this part I need you guys to explain is the business part of SQL. And it requires logic to solve it. You guys are just guessing. Don't guess for me. Logic.
Please, I would
Think
like
about
to
your
answer.
Sorry, let me say
Go
something. Hold on, please. Let me say
Okay.
something. Okay, I think
Wait.
Some of us
Ezine.
are raising our hands, so but I don't know.
No verse.
Like
No verse. Ezine.
Please, I would like
first.
to answer the question. Can I go
Ezine
ahead?
first now. Ezine
Okay.
first.
What I wanted saying is, okay, when we were creating this table, we had lots of foreign keys attached to just one primary key.
No, wrong. Answer.
Okay, can I go?
Can I say
get far.
something?
You are not raising your
Okay.
hands. I'm only going with people that raise their hands now. Doyimola.
Okay, sorry.
I raised my
is number
hand
2.
earlier and it came
Yeah, I
down. I
raised
don't
my
know.
hand earlier.
Oh yeah, you should raise your hand again.
Okay.
Doyimola.
So can I go now? Okay. Thanks a lot.
Doyimola is not answering.
Okay. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So from my own end, so it's like we are trying to like what do you call it? Link one record in the role, that's which is role ID, with many records in user accounts, because user account has so many columns, or let me put it like that. So that's why it is one to many.
Wrong.
Can I say
Number
something?
3.
Zainab.
No. Number 3 is Ibiredem. Oh God. Menti. This person is not Nigerian, yes? Because I don't lose. I don't think they are hearing me. Ibiredem. If Ibiredem is not there, number 3 is Timilehin.
Okay.
If you are not there, I will skip to the next person. Timilehin. Okay, Timilehin is not active. Jonathan Okafor. Jonathan. Okay, if Jonathan is not active, the next person is Abdulatif.
Good evening. My
Yes.
simple answer is that a user account can only have a single row. A user account can only have a single row. An account a user account cannot have multiple rows. That's my answer.
Wrong. Yes.
Can I give
Joseph.
a try for the last time?
What we have here is that
Joseph. No, now if I no call you, no answer. Joseph. Okay, then.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Sorry, my network it went off when you guys were creating the table. But if there's anything I understand, I think this is a one-to-many relationship because we are considering the role and the user account ID. The role ID can be found in the user ID. So why is one-to-many? Is because you can have one role ID that has another account ID. So in joining the relationship, is given.
No, I don't agree. Elvis.
Zainab.
Oh, now, Christabel.
Elvis.
I think yes, I'm with you. It is a one-to-many relationship because each person can have one account, but that one account can have different rules. So the foreign key the foreign key is kind of reference the primary key, whereas that ID can have multiple rows, but just one account, which is the primary key of the.
He explained it. He explained it a little bit. Then he spoiled it at the end. Christabel.
Okay, I think it's a one-to-many relationship because let me use myself. Maybe I am role ID.
I'm not raising my hand.
I am role ID 100. I'm going to have an account ID. I'm also still going to have a username. I'm going to have an email. I'm going to have every single one of that. So I am one person thing, but I have a two-factor enabled. I have every single thing in that other table. So it's a one-to-many relationship.
Wrong.
Yeah,
Peter, Imonte.
Okay, in my own understanding, is one to many because a single account user can have multiple rows, but every row table is connected to one user account.
Wrong. That is not why it is one to many. Zainab. Zainab.
Okay.
Yes, Zainab.
So when we were creating the tables, we create different rows like users, admin, and all. So each row has like one ID, which is the row ID in the row table. Then in the user account table, one row can be filled by multiple people. So that is multiple users.
That's me now.
So one row ID will appear many times in the user account table. So it will be one in the row table and it will be many in the user account table.
Good. But you see, your people's problem. Answer. It was very, very straightforward. Ikechukwu said it before. Elvis said it, but they failed to put it in a way that I like, in a way that is clear, which brings me to your point of being a data analyst, which is explaining insights to non-technical audience. They were not able to explain the stuff to a non-technical audience. So that's why I would love the answer, okay? Now, let me explain it. You see, in the row table, now you see the rows that I told you about. You see the rows? You have user, you have author, and you have admin. Just 3 rows. So whatever you are doing, you must be either of these 3. Even though I did not put a check constraint, I just left it, okay? Now, the question is, why is it one-to-many relationship? It is one-to-many relationship because here, it is one role ID, which is either 100, 200, or 300. True or false? Was that not what we said? Was that not what we put it when we set the identity to 100, 100? So that 100 will be user, 200 will be author, 300 will be admin. So it must either be any of these 3 numbers, the role ID. So it must be one of this number. So 1 is coming from the role table. Now, coming to the account table, it is many because in the role ID, one user can have multiple roles. Do you know that if I register an account, do you know that on my Medium page, I have multiple roles. Do you know that only me, I'm a user, only me, I am an author because I publish articles. True or false? True or false? And do you know that if eventually I was opportune to work at Medium, or let's say, for example, I work at SA blog, this blog now, I work there. I work there as an admin. So I will have admin privilege. I will be an author and I will also be a user. Do you see why it is one to many? Do you see why it is one to many?
Please re-explain. Please re-explain. Thank you.
When I ask you people to come to this class, I ask you to come with knowledge and understanding.
More this one day, don't they carry me go? I don't know.
All right. Now we have a table here. Rule. Now you see, let's go back to the beginning of this project so that you guys will understand it better. There's no way you guys are leaving this class without understanding this thing very well. Okay. Now you see the objective of this particular project. We wanted to build a database for a blogging platform that was similar to Medium, WordPress, Substack, these platforms, okay? Now, basically what these platforms do is they allow writers to publish content. The readers will interact with it, and the system is going to track everything in an organized way. Okay. Now, when we started, I told you our target users were 1, authors, 2, readers, 3, admins. You understand? Okay. And everything that's going to be happening in this thing is writing, reading, commenting, liking, and all of that stuff. So the goal of this project was to build a database backend that could support all of these things. You understand? Okay, good. So the project involves designing a relational database from scratch where that can manage user content management, engagement, and all of that stuff. Okay, good. We started by creating the first table. Okay, the first table, that is the role table. Okay, now it is the role table that tells us the role of that particular user. If that person is a user, a normal user, and automatically everybody is a user. You understand? If you write, if you publish the article, you are an author. If you happen to work at that company, you are an admin. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you guys following me?
Yes, we are following.
So now we created the role table here. And we said that this role only has 3 values. The role ID can only have 3 values: 100, 200, and 300. 100 signifies user. 200 signifies author. 300 signifies admin. So that's going to be your role ID for here. Now, in your normal role ID, by default, it is going to be 100. Abi? It is going to be 100.
Yes.
That's your normal, that's the normal user or whatever it is. But definitely at a particular time, you must have just 1 row in the primary key. You must, it's a must. You cannot have more than 2 rows. You get, it must be 1 row. I don't know if you're understanding. In the role table, you can either have 1 of this ID. Hello? Hello? Are you guys still with me?
Yeah, we are with you.
Good. So I was saying that in the role table, you can only have 1 ID, okay, which is either 100, 200, or 300. Okay. Now, we created the user account table, and we created a foreign key that is going to reference the role ID that was inside of this role table. Now, the question is, what type of relationship existed here? You see that the database automatically gave us the relationship, but it is explaining it, you understanding why it is what it is. We know it is 1 to many. Do you know why it is 1 to many? Anytime you see key pointing to one side and the infinity sign pointing to the other side, it is what? 1 to many. Do you understand? Because the key is pointing to the table with the primary key. True or false?
True.
This is the table with the primary key. So it is pointing to this place, many. Now the question is to understand the logic. Why was it 1 to many? It is 1 to many because 1 user from here can have many rows in the user account table. You understand? Okay? 1 here, from here, 1. You, in this place, in this user account, you can either be an author, You can be a user or you can be an admin. You understand? You could be 3. That's why I give you an example. If you happen to be a user, so by default, you're a user. So by default, your row number is 100. If you are just a user, okay, or if you're a user, at this point, your this thing is 100, okay? Let's say, for example, you're working with this company, and you are in the administrative part of things. You are the administrative part of things. You still have the ability to write posts, and you still have the ability to read posts. Is that not it? How many roles do you have now? If you work at the company, you can write posts
3.
and you can read posts. How many?
3.
Is it not coming from 1 row to 3 rows? Is it not 1 to many?
Yes.
It's 1 to many now. That's literally, that's it, literally. That's it now. You don't finish. No other explanation can help you guys add from this one. Hey, this won't kill me. Yeah. Oh God. So yeah, that is it literally. Now let me show you guys something. Stay with me. Practice will make perfect. That is the only thing. Practice will definitely make perfect. Okay. Now, like I told you before, yesterday on the platform, I sent you guys the image of the database already. That was because yesterday I was already working with the database. It was yesterday that I was just creating it, and inside of my head, I was just trying to put things that I want to teach you guys. Okay, so I created it completely. So it's here. This was what I called it. I called it block platform DB. Okay, let me create the database diagram so that you see it more advanced. So right click, new database diagram, add everything. There are about 21 tables here. Okay, so I'm going to add everything complete. So I'm just click add, so everything is complete. What the heck, man? MTN at this point. Hello.
Yes, I have
Yeah, we can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Hi, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
I
you.
can hear you. Yes.
All right. So I want to add all of these tables. So I've added everything. So I will not close it like before. Now, are you seeing the relationship? Are you seeing this thing is like plumbing or electrical wire?
Construction, house construction.
Okay. Now, you see this user account table? You see this user account table? Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Good. Can you see how almost everybody is taken from it? That's like the central table. You get almost everything is related. Every other thing is sharing from here. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Just these people they follow me again. Maybe I won't confuse them.
Yes,
You know what
yes,
will
we are with
happen?
you.
Yes,
No,
we
you're
are
not confusing
following
us. We
you.
can see it.
Your fact table.
Okay. So you see, this diagram is long. Let me not confuse you people. Let me just stop. Let me just work with the basic one and we're done today. Okay. Let me just work with the basic one. My network just finished me. Oh, sorry guys. I think my network is now messing up. So I don't know. I think we've spent enough time today. What do you guys think we continue some other time?
Yes, we can
You
continue
guys must be
tomorrow.
tired.
I have a question.
There we go.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Ask the question now.
Okay. So for this
NTN, are you kidding me? Like literally one bar. Like how about now? How about NTN? How about NTN?
So for the user account, sorry, for the users, we have 3 different types of users. So your user, your admin, and
sorry, I was out for a couple of seconds. Please fill me in.
Okay, so we've already like denoted that in our role table, we have our role ID. So from that's between those 3 rows. No, my question is this. So when the person is signing up, yeah, so in the user workflow, is it that the person has is so
You
is
guys
that
hearing me?
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Please
We can
continue.
hear you.
So is it that in the user workflow when signing up that a user has to indicate which particular role he's going to take on, or is there a way in which there's going to be a switch when the person moves from, say, a normal user to an admin or to a reader?
At a particular time, one person can have multiple roles. You don't need to indicate. You understand? If you move,
okay.
Dave, we can't hear you.
hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please, can we have
Now,
the
can you
record
hear me
of
now?
this class?
I can hear
I'll
you.
stop sharing now. I'll stop sharing. So now what I'm saying is that you see, when somebody can have, oh God, God, what is it now? Stop recording, okay?